Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday night here, though we do have someone, one of the Planet Pearl members who's in the chat room tonight. Is actually it's Wednesday morning where she is. We have an Australia attendee today, which is always fun when we have people from other parts of the world come and join us on the party line. But we have someone really special to come talk about just one of the loveliest books that I've seen in a while, New Vintage Lace. And we have Andrea Jurgrau, the author, and who you may know from Bad Cat Designs, which is the name she designs under. So, Andrea, this is her first visit to the party line. So, of course, we have to give you a round of applause for joining us since you're a newbie on the party line. So thank you for taking time out of your evening and your own crazy schedule and to come and talk about this lovely book. And so for people who aren't familiar with your work as under the name Bad Cat Designs, tell us a little bit about kind of your interests and how you got started in knitting and how all this, how this ball started rolling.
Sure. So I've been knitting, I think, most of my life, but designing maybe for the last decade. A friend of mine bought a yarn company and needed pattern support and just asked me to do anything. And that was my first design work. And I started doing designs for her, and they were well received. I had a blog that was pretty active. And did some online group projects which were pretty popular, and that's where I started.
Now, is your interest mostly in lace knitting?
Yes, I would have to say heavily the lace knitting. I'm interested in a lot of traditional techniques, but lace is probably my most favorite knitting technique.
Well, and this book in particular is, because it says it's New Vintage Lace Knits Inspired by the Past. This is, because I think when I posted about this book was that, my grandma had, my Irish grandma, she had doilies everywhere, lace doilies everywhere in her house, on the backs of all the furniture, on the arms of all the furniture, on all the tables. She had doilies everywhere, and they were beautiful, but kind of not my design aesthetic. I mean, I wouldn't fill my house with doilies. So what's really lovely is this book takes a lot of those kind of traditional doily designs and turns them into knits you can wear. I mean, was that really the inspiration for this book, or those old classic designs?
Yes, absolutely. I actually really love knitting doilies and designing doilies, but I don't have much room in my house for displaying doilies. So I just have them in a box. And so I thought about other things I could do with them, and so that's what this book really began as.
Yeah, so you knit doilies and put them in the box.
Yes, they're swatches. They're very, very ornamental swatches.
Oh, there you go. There's one way to look at it. Ornamental swatches. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the book, and you take us through the projects here. And actually, am I at the top? I don't think I am at the top. Let's start here. Okay, so I pulled just a sample of projects. How many projects are actually in the book?
Well, I think really if you count the smaller pieces, there may be 20, 21, 22. But if you leave the doilies out, there's 17 or 18 projects.
Oh, nice. So let's kind of go through them and kind of talk about the inspiration. And first of all, I love the color this is knit in. This is just so fresh. And the nice thing, for people like me who spend at least part of the year in a really steamy, hot, sweaty, horrible place, is this kind of lace, especially because it looks like it's knit in beautiful cotton type of yarn. I mean, it looks so fresh. It looks,
It could be. It's
yeah.
actually it's not a cotton, but you could do it in cotton.
Yeah. And let's see.
It's Manos lace, which like alpaca and silk.
Oh, yeah, the color's so fresh. Kate says there's a great selection in this book, and also she wants to know if they're all done with the same brand of yarn, but they're not.
No, I actually did I used as many different brands of yarn as I could, just for my own knitting pleasure. And some of them I had to reknit in a more commercially available yarn than what I had originally swatched and sampled in.
Yeah.
So a few pieces I switched yarn before the book went to press, but yeah, no repeats really on the yarn companies.
Yeah, this is so pretty. So tell us about the inspiration for this piece.
Well, this piece is really inspired by a vintage doily from a very old out of print magazine, and I made some significant modifications, and kind of what I do with these designs is I sort of dissect the doily into its wedge component and then figure out how it will drape nicely and balance out the ends so that the motifs all flow smoothly. And I tweak the patterning, and sometimes I need a few more rows to get the depth of the piece that I'm interested in. So, but this was really inspired by a vintage doily.
Yeah, and I love the edging on this. It's just I don't know. There's just something. It's so delicate, but it doesn't look like a piece
Do
that
you
you
mean the bind off with
along
the
the out.
crochet loops, or do you mean the leaves?
I mean the little crochet.
The
I
little
mean the
crochet
little
loops
loops
around?
along the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really fun bind off. I use a lot in the book,
Yeah, it's really, really pretty.
and very
So,
doily.
and this too, and I love the color palette in this book. I mean, because it's yeah, I think we tend to see a lot of black lace and a lot of white lace, and I think so many people are afraid of color, and this really shows how you can take an unusual color, put it over a simple black dress or a black top and a pair of jeans, and that people can wear color, I mean real color, and it's nice that the book is done with so much color. So I appreciate that, just as somebody who
That was
likes color.
definitely a focus of mine.
Yeah, I mean,
I love color. I love bright color, but I never wear bright colors. I generally wear black, and so this is my opportunity to kind of play with color.
yeah, and I think a lot of us wear a lot of black, right? I mean, I'm in black now. Black, we wear black t-shirts, we wear black turtlenecks and black sweaters, and it's amazing how it changes everything when you add a little bit of color, and especially up around your face and shoulders, which is, the thing about oh, Karen wants to know, is lace
I'm
the new
looking at
black?
these comments. There's been some really great comments. Will we get a chance to reply to them when we're done talking?
We will,
Should I
yeah.
try to reply to them as they come up?
Yeah,
Oh, they're
absolutely. And
great.
I try to catch them as we go. So I know Roxy was thanking you for using a variety of yarns,
Somebody
which,
asked,
and then Karen
yeah,
wanted to know about
Karen was
knitting at a
saying
bigger
about
gauge.
larger gauge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a heavier
Well,
yarn.
definitely. This is made in a real lace weight yarn, but the only caveat is that your yardage will be different. And so if you're going to work it with a larger yarn, I would bet you're going to need more yardage. And the problem is I can't tell you exactly how much more yardage you're going to need, but if you go into it with your eyes wide open and you're aware of that and have some extra yarn, definitely would look beautiful at a larger gauge.
Yeah, so pretty, so pretty. This
Thank
is
you,
so
Roxy.
ethereal, right? So, oh, Roxy says this is one of the most beautiful yet wearable collections she's ever seen. Isn't that's so nice? I agree. This is
That's
really,
really
really
nice.
lovely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We get a lot of
And Karen, yes, lace is the new black.
love. Funny. So let's so how about this, this is a beautiful, very like a hand dyed variegated yarn, and a very nice way to use it with the way the color
This is
builds.
quite a special yarn, actually. This yarn is dyed by Lara of Lara's Creations. She's in Colorado and she has an Etsy shop. And she does the most beautiful, she calls it color wave dyeing. And she gets some wonderful sort of shading. And this skein of yarn was gifted to me by my friend Mary Rose. And so Mary Rose was with us.
Yeah, I see that.
And I decided, the press was very interested in my using yarns that were readily available, and so I did this piece in two different yarns in the book. A solid, very commercially available sock weight purple, and then this shaded one, which I think is really special.
Yeah, Juanita says she just fell in love, which, and I wasn't familiar with this yarn, but I will definitely be looking for it because it's.
Oh, check her out, Lara's Creations. Yeah, she's on Etsy, and she does some fiber also if you like to spin, and some beautiful different yarn bases.
Yeah, it's my husband's nightmare that I take up another yarn related hobby. So my yarn already takes up 2.5 rooms in the house. He's just like there's a point where you can't push it.
I hear you.
So, and this is a beautiful modern use of lace. This is so pretty. Tell us about this project.
So some of the beginning projects in the book, I thought of the book as a little bit of a process where people might get their comfort level up with doing a center start, which many of these pieces might require if you're doing the doily. And so there's a few practice doilies to swatch with. And then this is one of the early projects where I kind of talk you through taking the doily and making it into a hat. And there are a couple of sort of watch caps, fitted caps, and then this one beret.
Oh, well, that's great. So you don't end up with a box full of decorative swatches.
Yes, you can have a box full of hats.
At least they're a little more useful, right? Juanita says this is so cute. So, which I agree. I think this is really lovely, and a great gift knit as well, right? Because who wouldn't love a lace hat?
Absolutely.
Right.
And the other caps too. My daughter, who's just going on 19, likes they're sort of slouchy watch caps that young folk have liked a lot. So.
Yeah. So Paula wants to know what yarn this is in.
This is a Malabrigo sock yarn.
So
a real favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Their stuff is lovely and very soft.
Yeah, and the color is really gorgeous too. So Karen says everything is so beautiful. I agree.
That's their Indiacita color.
Oh, it's so pretty. And I think the thing is that people get a little nervous about lace, and if they haven't done it before, and actually for those who've never done it, I do have a ton of videos on lace knitting and a free lace knitting class on our website on planetpurl.com. It's actually in how to read lace charts, which I think once you learn to read the chart, the rest of it's kind of a piece of cake. But it's really such a great gift to give somebody knitted lace, especially if they don't knit, because it looks like magic and you get a lot of credit you get credit for way more work than you put into it, which I love.
Well, also you can use a real luxury fiber. This is this gorgeous hand-dyed silk yarn that I use, lace weight yarn, and it takes very little to make a piece like it. It's a really precious gift.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that people hang on to, right? They're not gonna. This doesn't end up in the bottom of a drawer. Yeah. People wear these.
They might have to reblock it if they wash it.
Yeah, when I give lace, I tell people to send it back. I tell people to send it back, and I'll wash it for them.
That's very nice.
So,
that's very nice.
Karen says she wants to make this scarf, and Moosker says she used to think it meant
this yarn is.
using very fine yarn, which there are some projects in this book that are actually shown in a much heavier weight yarn. So it's nice.
A few. I'm a skinny yarn kind of person, but many of these pieces, for instance, this piece, which I worked in a lace book, which is from Land O'Lace. She's also a really wonderful dyer. But a friend of mine tested this with a skein of Madeline Tosh Merino Light, which is, you know, kind of a sock weight yarn, and it looked great. So
Yeah. Oh, pretty. Yeah, and who doesn't love Madeline Tosh? So this is gorgeous, and I think this is what I traditionally think about when I think about lace shawls, is this kind of a look. But this is such a beautiful mix of patterns. Yeah, Moosker says, "Wow!" It's like I agree. There's such as the pattern travels down from the shoulders. There's something to look at every step of the way. It's really gorgeous. Tell us about this, the inspiration for this design.
thanks. So the center part of this design was inspired by an old doily from a German publication that's long out of print. And I then kind of went crazy with hex mesh. Hex mesh is a type of the fill that you see below the leaves, which is very classic German lace fill, and then added even more leaves for the border. So it's sort of a mishmash from a couple of different places.
Yeah.
And what you can't see in these pictures is that this is actually beaded. So beads along the stems of the leaves on the bottom, they're ruby silver lined beads. So unless the light catches them, you might not notice them, but they're pretty visible if you actually saw the piece.
Oh my goodness. Well, and for me, there's no such thing as too much beading. So I love beaded knitting. It's one of my favorite things.
That's what I say.
Yeah. No such thing as too much bling.
Most of these pieces are in fact beaded. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And Karen says this is luxurious looking, which I agree. That just I actually I want to put this on. So I want to put it on now. So Karen says it's one of her favorites. She loves the way
It's
the
like
leaves.
3/4 of a circle.
Mhm. It's
Thanks,
beautiful.
Karen.
Yeah.
It sits on your shoulders very well because it's more than more than a half a circle. It's like 3/4 of a circle.
Yeah. So pretty.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, so Amanda says that because people won't see the chat scroll when they come back to watch it. So Amanda says she loves the way that the beads are incorporated in the designs, which I agree. So and it adds a little extra weight on the bottom too, which is always nice, I think, for fine
It
weight
does.
knits.
The previous piece is a very, very skinny yarn, so it's nice. That little extra weight is quite nice.
Yeah, very pretty. This is so lovely and summery. What is this knit in?
All right, that's Madeline Tosh Merino Light, one skein. So this is a one skein project.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a fairly good like first shawl from the book. That or the purple one we saw earlier, just in terms of being a little bit heavier. Oh, so Musker's asking about the technique I use for starting these shawls. So the full circular or full square pieces, of which there are some in the book, have they're started from the center and then worked on double points until they get big enough. But these pieces are all what I refer to as tab starts. So they're started at the center back of the neck, and then they work out and around. So
Very, just really lovely. And this one's getting
and I think this is well watered. The color is well watered.
yeah, this is getting a lot of love. Juanita says the same thing. She just loves this color, and Candy loves tab starts. So and
Yeah, I do too. They're a lot of fun.
yeah, and this is
Is a
just
great
lovely.
color. I mean, this looks good with jeans. This color is
Oh,
fantastic. Just, you know,
lovely. So Juanita says, so as you work out, you're increasing as you go. So you start with a small cast on and you work your
correct.
way out.
Correct. The very center of the back of the neck is where we're starting.
Yeah. Well, one thing about starting at the center and working out is that you see a lot of real estate get created right up front. So before you get to those last rows that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stitches, you actually have some work on the needles.
Yes. On the red piece that we looked at before,
Yeah.
that border, hundreds of stitches.
Yeah. Yeah. I like casting on the row that has the hundreds of stitches and working down, but I'm contrary.
No,
Most
I'm
people like
afraid
the
you
other
just
way
get the
around.
satisfaction up front and then it goes on.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
slog at
Somebody
the
asked
end.
about blocking.
Yeah, she said, "Is there anything we need?" Andrea or Karen asked, "Is there anything we need to know about blocking?" Which, of course, is what makes your lace.
Yes, hugely, hugely. I really try to cover the blocking in the book, although there wasn't room to really cover it in the detail it deserves. But I try to describe exactly how each piece is blocked. I actually tried to talk them into putting my blocking photo for each piece in the book, but there wasn't room. But
So,
yeah, blocking is critical, and I do try to describe it in detail.
right, and so do you block by pinning it to a king size mattress, or do you use a blocking board and wires?
You know what I have is I have these rubber flooring tiles. They're like 2 feet by 2 feet that I bought from a place that sells tiles that are for your gym floor, like if you have a home gym.
Yeah, like Home
And
Depot
they
and
come
Lowe's sell
apart
them. Yeah.
in 2 by 2, like a puzzle. And I use those, and I have like a lot of them, and I put them on my living room floor. And I have blocking wires in a lot of different sizes and flexibilities, and I have a lot of stainless steel T-pins. So I use wires where I can, and
Where,
T-pins elsewhere.
yeah. And there are some people I know who actually like pin them to their beds, but I'm always afraid I would leave something behind and it's not going to be pretty. So,
It's not dry enough here for me to do that because sometimes stuff doesn't dry and I have to go to bed.
oh yeah, you have to sleep. Well, because actually,
That's
you're one of the designers who actually has a different day job, right? So
Yes,
tell,
I
yeah,
do.
tell everybody what you do when you're not knitting and designing these gorgeous lace shawls. Which is, I mean, talk about it. This because it's a pretty crazy mix of things that you do. Come here.
Well, I'm a nurse practitioner. I work at a inner city hospital and in an infectious disease clinic. That's what
Yeah,
I do.
and then in your spare time, you design and knit lace, which, I will say most people don't find knitting lace necessarily the most relaxing form of knitting.
I like
I'm,
your little friend too.
oh
Tell
yeah.
us your friend's name.
Oh, this is one of my dogs. This is Tally. She wanted up, so yeah. Oh no, she's not a new baby. She's been around for a while, so. But yeah, I mean, most people when they want to knit for relaxation, they knit yards of stockinette stitch on sweaters or something. So
No,
that,
not me.
yeah,
That would put me to sleep.
yeah, which is for me is kind of the point. So yeah, and actually there are people who are saying that they actually do pin things to the beds, but they pin them to their husband's side of the bed.
Yeah, I saw Karen said that.
Yeah, well that works. I
And
guess.
Amanda said that lace knitting is like meditation, and I agree with her. There's something very mathematical about a lot of my knitting, and when you're working a row, you can uh, feel the rhythm of it, if you will, and it's pretty zen actually. Once you get your comfort down with the pattern.
Yeah, I don't. I guess I just I get interrupted so often that it drives me nuts. So when I knit lace, um, the door I don't answer the door. I don't answer the phone. The television's off. I'm not even listening to music. I need quiet when I knit lace, but otherwise, I've got like the TV on and I'm stopping to check my email. But lace requires, I guess, just enough attention from me that I don't find it as mindlessly relaxing. as other people do. But also, I never liked math, so that could be why. That could be why. I just find it less I find it less relaxing.
It's funny you say that because I was never that strong at math myself. I'm a little dyslexic and I had trouble keeping numbers in order, but it turns out I actually am very good at math when I approach it a different way. I just never knew that. So,
Oh, well, I was always good at it. I just didn't enjoy it. So maybe that's
see,
why.
that's interesting. You were actually good at it. I wasn't particularly good.
Yeah. And who knew we would need it later, right? When we started knitting. So yeah, Roxy says lifelines reduce the stress. And I am a huge fan of lifelines. I actually have a video of it on YouTube. It's one of my more popular videos. And I use them in color work. I use them for everything. Lifelines are my friend. I love lifelines. That's
Yeah,
another
it's a
good.
definite stress reducer if you're concerned about the pattern.
Yeah. Well, trying to rip anything back that has yarn overs in it is always, yeah, better.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, use a lifeline. Don't
Oh,
cry.
thank you.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, and this color is gorgeous, and this is getting a lot. This is getting love, and this is and now is this a rectangular piece
Oh.
that we're looking at?
Yeah, it's a modified rectangle, so it's sort of curved but rectangular. And it's jade sapphire two-ply cash silk, which
Oh,
is pretty gorgeous,
ooh,
pretty
yeah, it's very
gorgeous,
nice.
and one of the really beautiful. Yeah, and there are sort of antiqued gold beads on the stems of these leaves, which you can't see in the photograph, but they're there.
Oh yeah, and somebody had asked earlier if there are pictures in the book of the fronts as well, and yes, there's a ton of pictures in here. You know, I guess I could have done the fronts and backs on these, so I didn't
They
really.
did some nice photography. I have to credit them with beautiful photography.
Yeah, really nice, very very nice, and yeah, Juanita says she can see going to school events with her grandson wearing this. It's really pretty, and yeah, that yarn is just so nice in the hand.
So
You know.
So Undead is asking about what yarn this is, and this is jade sapphire. I guess you wouldn't know unless we told you here. It's in the book, but if you're on Ravelry, all of the projects are uploaded there with the yarns that I use, so you could actually see.
What yarn it is, yeah. And this color is just beautiful. And they put it on the
Yeah,
right
I think she
model.
calls this Elysian Fields.
Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Things.
So now here's an example of something that's knit in a heavier yarn, right?
Yeah, I think that Crystal Palace considers this a sock weight yarn. This is Mini Mochi,
Oh yeah.
which is got long color repeats. And so each piece is worked from the center. It's modular, and then it's stitched together. So these little six-sided shapes are each worked from the center out. And I didn't worry about where I started each ball of yarn. So the colors vary,
It's
as you can see.
yeah, which is I mean, and it's gorgeous because it actually, if you didn't know that this yarn was variegated, you would think that you were changing colors at different places. It's it's
No, the yarn does all the work. All the color work is in the
God,
yarn.
don't you love that? I love when the yarn does the work. So yeah, this is actually getting this is getting a lot of love. So and Amanda wants to know if you have a favorite yarn composition.
No, I love yarn. I love so many
Yeah.
kinds of yarn.
Yeah,
So now this is merino, and I like cashmere, but I really like cashmere and silk, and I like. I just finished a pair of socks this morning with Crystal Palace panda silk, they call it, and it's
oh
like the
yes,
merino
that's
bamboo and
nice.
a little bit of silk. Oh,
Yeah,
it's really nice. So yeah,
yeah.
no favorite composition. I like any.
So much yarn, so little time.
I hear you.
Yeah, Moosker says this would be a beautiful blanket, which I agree. This could be just by adding the motifs. This could be a really special baby
Absolutely.
gift, right?
You could do a baby blanket. You could do an Afghan. You could make it any size you like. And
Yeah.
actually, I think somebody did, no, not with this piece, but with a different modular piece of mine, used much heavier yarn. And there's really no reason why you can't make, you just have to figure out your yardage. So make one motif in the yarn you want to use and figure out how big it is and how much yarn you used, and then calculate your yardage and size from that.
Yeah, so
Oh, you
pretty.
certainly could, yeah.
Yeah,
Mishra
Juanita.
has a good idea to alternate colors like a quilt,
Yeah, and especially if you have a
or
large.
create a pattern with them.
Yeah, if you have a large enough stash of the same yarn in multiple colors, which for me is my Cascade 220 collection, is that you could just mix and match, which would be
Absolutely.
really nice. Juanita says she would wear this while reading and while it's snowing outside, which is really nice too. So, yeah, and I know there's a and Karen was saying that there's so much online to teach people how to knit lace, that if you haven't knit lace before,
Absolutely.
don't be scared. I mean, that's been really the great thing about like YouTube, and is that, especially for people who learn visually, it's a whole lot easier to learn how to do knitting techniques if you can see them done, as opposed to reading them in a two-dimensional book, which I don't know how people learn to knit that way, but people do. So, but they're like way smarter than
I
I am.
refer people to some YouTube videos all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. People sometimes contact me for some pattern support, and it involves a technique, a sort of a, something that somebody covered quite well, and I can refer them to that, and it's satisfying.
Yeah, I think it's been such a great reference source for knitters. I know I've learned a lot from watching other people's YouTube videos as well. So, yeah. So
Yeah, me too.
Karen says she's planning a throw of this in Aran weight wool, which she thinks is going to be gorgeous, and I think she's right. So, but yeah. So that, I mean, that's
Well,
really. Go ahead.
there are beads on this that you cannot really see. Again, it's hard to see the beads, but there are beads on these little petals. I hope Karen's going to put some beads on her Aran weight blanket.
Oh, we'll have to see a picture of that, Karen. I want to see it when it's done. Email it to me or put it up on put it up on Planet Pearl's Facebook page. This this is this is just, I mean, words fail me. This is so incredible. Tell us about this design. It's just amazing.
This is probably the most challenging piece in the book. It's a large, eight-sided, sort of a round octagon piece that can be used as a throw or a shawl, or honestly, I think it would make a really nice wedding veil.
Oh my
Um,
God. Oh,
it's
yeah.
the center is based on a couple of different old doilies that I think were probably designed by Herbert Niebling. Uh, there's no attribution on any of the patterns, but that's my guess. And so I sort of took off with the leaves and then added more fill. And you can't see it in this picture, but there's another picture in the book that shows it pretty well. These large orchids on the end of the stems, and then there's a kind of a traditional edging.
Yeah, it's just crazy beautiful.
This is fun.
Karen says this would be a beautiful huppa, which I agree, and or a
Oh,
wedding
it would be.
veil. Oh my gosh, a wedding veil! What a beautiful idea that is. I mean, this is an heirloom project. This only, yeah. And Roxy says a perfect gift for a bride. This is
Well,
the
one of
kind of.
my
Go ahead. Oh,
my piece is knit in a wool silk, a lace weight 228 wool silk. But one of my test knitters did this in linen and made a tablecloth. And I've seen it on her table. It looks pretty nice.
oh my
So
God.
that worked well too, even though I was kind of getting away from the doilies and the table linen. It still works.
Yeah, if somebody put down a cup of coffee or something on this tablecloth, I would cry. I would have to put glass or something over the top. I would be terrified that somebody would spill something on it. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of work to have people put, used silverware on it, right? So if they're not knitters, they won't know not to do that. So, But yeah, I mean, really an heirloom gift. I think it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So now people can find you in different places if they want to keep up with what's happening with you. So people can go to badcatdesigns.blogspot.com to keep up with what's happening, and also your patterns and what you're working on, and you have a Zazzle shop, and there's an Interweave coupon as well. So if you want to buy the book directly from Interweave, although we always encourage people to go to their local yarn store and buy the book first as their first
And
option,
I would too.
and that their backup option, of course, is to visit Planet Pearl because we get the tiniest little commission, which helps pay for things like the GoToMeeting interface that we use.
Yeah, listen, it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it pays for the
I
GoToMeeting
just show people a
interface
couple
and
of
things. Look at this.
I want to show people a few of the tabs here.
Yeah.
So I do have a new vintage lace tab on my blog.
There we go.
And as I'm getting any pattern corrections, I'm adding them there. And also, my beautiful daughter. And also, there's a link here. If anybody's interested in old lace, click on this antique lace. A friend of mine has got a whole collection of her mother's old antique lace, and we're looking for identification on that. So just if anybody's interested and is on my blog, they should take a look at that.
Oh, well,
pretty
wonderful.
Amazing.
Oh, somebody's cat is happy. So I love happy cats. And then if you're on Ravelry, you can also...
Chai latte.
Oh, yeah. If you're on Ravelry, Andrea has a designer page under her name, Andrea Jurgrau, oddly enough, under her own name. And so you can see her 126 designs. And I think you have some patterns in the pattern store, right?
Oh, tons, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also individual patterns in the pattern store. So you can check that out if you're on Ravelry. And then, if you don't win the copy of the book this evening, so sad, but only one will win, then you're going to call your local yarn store in the morning and see if they have it. And if they don't, you're going to come to Planet Pearl, click on books, click on new vintage lace, and click on buy the book through Amazon and support Planet Pearl, which will strangely enough take you to Amazon, but they will give us the tiniest little commission, which helps pay for things like the GoToMeeting interface. It keeps us going. So we had a couple other comments.
I have one more thing to add, if I could share it.
Sure.
I just wanted to add that I'm actually doing a book signing. If anybody is in the local area, local to New York City or Westchester County or Rockland, I'm doing a book signing at a yarn shop, Knitting Nation, on Saturday the 12th.
What city is that in?
On their website.
Is that in New York City?
That's Nyack, New York.
Nyack, New York.
No, it's north. It's north of New York City. Not that much north, but a little bit north.
Oh, fun. So we had a couple of comments. Juanita was saying that she has a large quantity of linen in red and thinks she's going to make that tablecloth for the holidays. You need to get started, Juanita.
Yeah.
I mean, it's July. TikTok. You got like 5 months. Get going. So, and Karen says, Andrea, you're so talented. So, yeah, it's really, really, really a gorgeous book. And are you working on volume 2?
Yes, I have been, with a little bit of angst. I've been working on volume 2. I've got a pretty good collection of stuff going, but with a different theme. So we'll see. We'll see if I could sell it.
Well, then I'm sure you'll come back and talk to us about it, right? Will be first on your list
I hope so.
to talk about. So, and Mooskers wants to know if you if you can recommend a first a first lace project.
This is chai latte,
Oh, that's your
by the
kid.
way. So that's Kitty. Yeah. A first lace project from the book or in general?
I think
Yeah, from the book.
from the book. Yeah.
So I kind of, the book progresses with sort of in the order that I think would be a comfortable way to work them. The simplest doily and beanie are first, and you sort of can get your hands around the techniques. And even before that, there's a swatch chart to get your comfort zone up with doing a center cast on and trying out the charts. So I would say even try just the simple swatches. There's actually two swatches. There's one that's a little doily, worked from the center, and then there's another that's a triangle, which is like a tab start, so that you could practice those techniques before you embark on one of the bigger projects. And then the hats are easier, and then the scarves are sort of next. And then I would say probably the Blue Dahlia would be a good one shawl-wise to try,
Did we
which
see this
is
one?
the one that's the Madeline Tosh in the well watercolor,
This one.
and or the purple one, which is actually from the final chapter, but it is one of the simpler top-down pieces.
Well, there you go. So now you know where to start, Mooskers. Get get going. You're welcome. So, well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And of course, people in the room know that they are going to hang out for just a minute after we stop recording, because we're giving away a copy of the book tonight, courtesy of F&W Media. Oh, I guess it's F&W, which is Interweave now. Interweave is now F&W. So, and they're so generous, they're giving away a copy tonight. So it's very kind of them. So, so thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure to have you, Andrea, and what a gorgeous book. And I hope it sells 1 billion copies.
I do too.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for the very nice comments.
Yeah, and Karen says you're a rock star. So
oh yeah, right.
I agree. You're my lace hero. So, so everybody hang out. We're going to give away a book, and thank you all for joining us tonight.